Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something that's absolutely fundamental to AWS, storage. I know, with so many options, it can feel a little confusing to know where to even start. But I promise, by the end of this, you're going to walk away with a crystal clear framework for knowing exactly when to use which service. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll cover the three core concepts of how data is stored, period. Then, we'll map those ideas directly to AWS's three main services, S3, EBS, and EFS. And finally, we'll bring it all together with a simple guide to help you make the right call every time. All right, let's get right into it. Look, before we can even touch on specific AWS services, we've got to get the basics down. You can think of this as the foundation that everything else is built on. There are really only three main ways to store data: object, block, and file storage. So first up, we've got object storage. The best way to think about this is like a massive, basically infinite valet service for your data. You hand over a file, could be a photo, a video, whatever, and in return you get a unique ticket or a key. You have no idea where the valet parks it, you don't care. All you know is that when you show up with your ticket, you get your file back. It's incredibly scalable, and it's perfect for all that unstructured data that you access over the web. Next, there's block storage. Now, this is a completely different beast. Think of this more like a high-performance hard drive that's plugged directly into your computer. It works at a much lower level, chopping up data into fixed-size blocks, kind of like a grid of perfectly sized bricks. This is what gives you that super fast, low-latency access that you absolutely need for things like databases or running an operating system. And finally, there's file storage. This is the one you're probably most familiar with from your day-to-day. It's that classic shared network drive you see in an office. You've got folders, you've got files inside those folders. It's all organized in a clear hierarchy that multiple people on the network can see and use. It's perfect for when many users or systems need to work on the same set of files. Okay, foundation set. Now let's see how AWS actually implements these concepts in the real world. We'll start with object storage, which in the AWS universe is the one and only Amazon S3. Amazon S3, which stands for Simple Storage Service, is really the king of object storage. It was built from the ground up for massive scale and unbelievable durability. It's designed to let you store and pull down any amount of data from literally anywhere on the web. You can really just think of it as the internet's hard drive. Now, this is where it gets really cool because S3 isn't just for, passively storing files. You can actually do stuff with it, like host an entire static website. Seriously, you just create what's called a bucket, you drop your HTML and CSS files in there, you flip a couple of switches in the settings to make it public, and boom, you're live on the web. It's an insanely powerful and cheap way to get a site online. And its versatility is just incredible. S3 is the workhorse behind everything from simple backups all the way to feeding these huge data lakes for big data analytics. You can even set up rules to automatically move older data to cheaper storage tiers over time. It really is the universal bucket for just about any data you can think of in the cloud. Okay, let's move on to our next building block, block storage. In the world of AWS, when you need that raw, high-speed, block-level access, you're going to turn to Amazon EBS. EBS stands for Elastic Block Store. The two things to remember here are Block Store and EC2 instances. An EC2 instance is just AWS's term for a virtual server in the cloud, and an EBS volume is the virtual hard drive that you attach to it. And it's persistent, which is a fancy way of saying your data is still there even if you turn the server off. Now, the crucial thing to get here is that not all hard drives are created equal, and AWS gives you choices. For most day-to-day stuff, like your server's operating system or a dev environment, the general-purpose SSD is going to be your best friend. But let's say you're running a massive, mission-critical database that needs guaranteed, blazing fast speed, well, then you'd pay a bit more for a provisioned IOPS volume. And of course, if you just need cheap storage for data you rarely touch, there's always the older magnetic option. All right, let's round out our trio with file storage. When you need that classic shared drive experience in the cloud, where lots of different servers need to access the very same files, Amazon EFS is going to be your go-to solution. EFS, or Elastic File System, is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a fully managed file system that you can attach to not just one, but potentially thousands of EC2 instances all at the same time. And for certain applications, this is an absolute game changer. So why is this so important? Well, imagine you're running a popular blog on WordPress, and you have a whole fleet of web servers to handle the traffic.
All of those servers need to get to the same images, the same themes, the same plugin files. Instead of some nightmare scenario where you're trying to copy files between all of them, you just connect them all to one EFS drive. Problem solved. It's just perfect for anything that needs shared file access.
All right, we have covered a ton of ground, the 3 core types of storage and how AWS brings them to life. So let's pull it all together now in a quick summary so you can easily remember when to use what. This right here is the money slide. This is the main takeaway. If you need to store huge amounts of unstructured data like photos, videos, or backups that you get to over the web, you use S3. If you need a high-speed hard drive for a single server, like for a database, you use EBS. And if you need a shared folder that many servers can all access at once, you use EFS. Object, block, file. S3, EBS, EFS. Honestly, it's that simple. Okay, let's put that new knowledge to the test. Quick scenario. Your new app needs to do 2 things. It has to store videos that users upload, and it has to run a really high-speed database. So, which 2 services are you going to pick? Think about it for a second. User videos are unstructured objects. The database needs high-speed block access. If you said S3 for the videos and EBS for the database, you nailed it. You're already thinking like a solutions architect.
And that's really it. You now have the fundamental mental model for choosing the right storage on AWS. It all comes down to understanding if your data needs to be treated as an object, a block, or a file. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you in the next one.